People don't hear apologies left unspoken. They only feel the pain of your silence. And then one day, everything changed. The door I thought would always be open, closed forever. The chance I thought I had vanished in a single moment. I stood there, frozen, realizing I had waited too long. My apology came too late. I replay that moment in my head over and over. The times I should have spoken, the times I should have swallowed my pride and just admitted I was wrong. But pride is dangerous. It whispers that silence is safer. It tells you that waiting won't hurt. But the truth, waiting destroys everything. By the time I was ready to lower my voice and say those two simple words, "I'm sorry," they weren't there to hear it. Do you know what it feels like? To talk to empty air, hoping someone will hear you, even when you know they won't. That's where I found myself, standing alone, with words stuck in my chest that would never reach their ears. The silence between us was no longer something I could fix. I started to wonder, what if I had just spoken earlier? What if I had chosen humility over pride? Would things have been different? Would the bond we once had still be alive? That question haunts me every single day. And maybe it's haunting you too. Maybe you've held back words you should have spoken. Maybe you've delayed an apology, thinking time was on your side. But let me tell you, time is never guaranteed. Because regret doesn't come with a warning. It doesn't come knock politely at your door. It crashes in when you least expect it. And once it starts there starts no escape. You can start rewind. You can start undo. You can only live with the what ifs. When I finally sat down, alone in the quiet, I whispered the words I should have said so long ago. "I'm sorry, I was wrong." My voice cracked, but the silence gave me no reply, no forgiveness, no second chance. Just the echo of my own voice bouncing back at me, reminding me that I was too late. And now, I carry that silence everywhere I go. I hear it when I laugh. I feel it when I smile. It follows me like a shadow, reminding me that some apologies don't heal. Some apologies are spoken only for yourself, because the person who needed to hear them is already gone. But maybe, just maybe, this story isn't only about loss. Maybe it's a warning, because right now, you still have time. There is someone in your life waiting for your words. Don't hold them back like I did. Don't wait until it's too late. If there's something I've learned, it's this: silence doesn't save you. Silence only builds regret. Words may feel small, but they hold the power to heal wounds you cannot see. And if you don't speak them, those wounds only grow deeper. So, as I sit here reflecting on everything I said lost, I ask myself one question: if I had one more chance, one single moment, would I have been brave enough to say it? To let go of pride and hold on to the person instead? That sets the question that never leaves me, but here sets the strange thing: the harder I tried to fix things, the more broken they became. I thought saying, "I'm sorry," would solve everything. Yet, my silence lasted too long, and when I finally spoke, the damage was already done. Do you know that feeling when you rehearse the words in your head over and over, imagining how they'll react, only to realize that by the time you gather the courage, they've already walked away? That's exactly what happened to me. I kept thinking, I'll say it tomorrow. Tomorrow will be the right time. But tomorrow never came, and the gap between us grew wider, until the day I realized they had stopped waiting for me altogether. And let me tell you, nothing stings more than knowing your silence cost you someone who once listened to everything you had to say. The truth is, I never meant to hurt them. My pride just kept me frozen. My ego whispered, Don't be the first to break. But what good is pride when the person you love stops believing you even care? And the cruel part, I saw the signs, the way their eyes stopped lighting up when I entered the room, the way their replies became shorter, the way laughter disappeared from our conversations. I noticed it all, yet I convinced myself, they'll come around, but they didn't. By the time I reached for them, by the time I swallowed my pride and spoke those words, "Lights, I'm sorry," it was too late. Because apologies don't mean much when the one you're begging for has already stopped waiting. I thought time would fix everything, that if I just stayed quiet long enough, the hurt would fade on its own. But I was wrong, because silence doesn't heal wounds. It deepens them. And the more I avoided saying what I needed to say, the heavier the weight on my chest became. There were moments when I almost reached out, when I picked up the phone and stared at the number, my finger hovering over the call button, my heart racing, but every time fear stopped me, fear of rejection, fear that my apology wouldn't be enough, fear that I had already lost my chance. And as the days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, I watched opportunities slip through my hands, like grains of sand I couldn't hold on to. I kept telling myself, tomorrow I'll say it. Tomorrow I'll make it right. But tomorrow never came. By the time I realized how much damage my silence had caused, it was already too late. The words I had kept locked inside me for so long finally burst out, but they fell into empty air. And that's when the truth hit me. My apology had arrived, but it had arrived too late. I remember the day when the silence between us became heavier than any argument. It was not filled with words, but with looks that avoided each other, and moments that no longer felt warm. I knew something was breaking, but I kept pretending that everything was fine, because I was too afraid to face the truth. Deep inside I thought time would heal it, but I didn't realize that silence can be louder than words. And it can push someone away faster than any fight ever could. I should have spoken sooner. I should have admitted my mistakes when I first saw the pain in your eyes. But I let my pride stand in the way. Pride has this strange power. It convinces us that waiting is safer than apologizing, that keeping quiet is better than showing weakness. But now, standing in this emptiness, I see how wrong I was. What I thought was strength was only fear in disguise. Every moment I delayed saying, "I'm sorry," another wall built itself between us. Another distance grew wider. Another chance slipped away. And now I find myself here, alone with the words I should have spoken when they still mattered. It's a cruel thing, realizing that the heart you once had close is now out of reach because of your own hesitation. Sometimes at night, I replay those little moments in my head, the times when you waited for me to simply admit I was wrong, the times when your silence was actually an invitation for me to step closer. But instead, I stayed back, too afraid to break my own stubbornness. I didn't understand then, but I do now. You weren't asking for perfection. You were only asking for honesty, for effort, for me to just say the words that could have kept us together. Now the weight of those unspoken words presses on me like a shadow that never leaves. No matter where I go or what I do, I can't escape the thought that my apology is too late. The timing of words matters more than their beauty, and my words came when your heart had already closed its doors. I wonder if you ever felt tired of waiting, tired of hoping I would change, tired of carrying the silence for the both of us. Maybe you gave me more chances than I ever deserved, and I wasted them one by one, without even realizing how valuable they were. And now, here I am, realizing too late that every small chance was actually the biggest gift I could have had. If only I had known that one simple step toward you, one honest apology, could have saved so much. If only I had seen that love doesn't die because of mistakes, but because of the refusal to admit them. My biggest regret is not the mistake itself, but the delay in facing it. Because sometimes waiting too long is what truly breaks the bond. And now, as I whisper my apology into the empty air, I know these words might never reach your heart. They are too late to heal what's already gone. Too late to bring back what I lost. But still, I say them because they are the truth. I should have spoken when you were still here. I kept waiting for the right moment. But the truth is, there is never a perfect moment for an apology. There is only now, and even that slips through your fingers if you hesitate for too long. I realized that my silence wasn't protecting me. It was destroying everything I could have had. I replayed every scene in my mind, the small moments when you were right in front of me, almost waiting for me to say something, but instead, I froze. I told myself, maybe tomorrow I'll explain, maybe tomorrow I'll say sorry, but tomorrow never arrived the way I wanted it to, and while I delayed, your heart kept moving further away. The more time passed, the heavier my words became. An apology delayed becomes heavier than the mistake itself. It was no longer just about what I had done. It was about the weight of everything I didn't do afterward. Every second of silence felt like another wound. Sometimes I wonder if you could hear my thoughts back then. Would it have changed anything? Because in my mind, I apologized 100 times. I begged for forgiveness in the quiet of my own room. I promised to be better in the shadows of my own regret. But none of that ever reached you. None of that mattered, because words locked inside are just as empty as words never spoken. The nights became the hardest part. Lying awake, staring at the ceiling, knowing I had broken something I didn't know how to fix. I thought maybe you would give me another chance to explain. But every time I imagined your face, I also imagined the hurt in your eyes, and it paralyzed me. I knew you deserved to hear the truth. That I was sorry, deeply sorry, but fear made me a coward. And that cowardice built a wall so high, I couldn't see over it anymore. I tried to convince myself that maybe you had already moved on, that maybe you didn't even care about hearing from me anymore. But deep down, I knew the silence was my fault, not yours. I often thought about the last moment I saw you, the way you looked at me, calm on the outside, but I could feel the storm in your heart. That was the moment I should have spoken. But I walked away instead, telling myself it wasn't the right time.